Okay, Viper's Videos back in the barn, and it is second week in November, and we have a nice 60-degree day today, and the sun is starting to set, so it's coming to the end of the day. But I thought I would do a follow-up video to my original first one, which was I think it was like parts 1 and 2, or Umarex Javelin. Well, if you happen to hear that weird rumbly noise, it is a really windy day today. We've got winds 35 to 40, gusting up to 50 to 55, so it's a really windy day. So got to do this in the barn, can't really do it out in the yard. It's kind of crazy windy. But if you remember my first video, I was talking about shooting it with only the 88 or 90 gram. These would happen to be air source. They're really old, like 17 or 18 years. But I had converted it using this kind of remote from paintball with a quick disconnect, and then an adapter that would replicate the threads on the 88 gram. And I had purchased this 3000 psi HPA regulated to 850, and I was hoping that that would replicate the CO2, but in fact it didn't. So I ended up with some slower speeds. I think it was roughly maybe 90, 100 per second slower. And there was, you guys can look all over my comments on that first video. I'll put a link to it at the bottom of this one. But a lot of people were telling me that, I can shim this, or I can, adjust this regulator. I was told by the company and other folks on some other forums that you can't. Now, I suppose there's folks out there that are swift enough to take this apart and do it, but it just wasn't that important to me. So what I ended up doing was, another YouTube member had mentioned to me about getting an Air Venturi 3000 psi 1100 psi regulator, which is what I ended up doing. Also, what I had done, I was interested for the longest time in getting one of these CO2 adapters, and they were sold out everywhere. So in case you're not familiar with it, it takes two 12 grams, one going in this way and one going that way, and it gives you something like 8 to 10 shots. What I ended up getting with this adapter, if you remember right, when I had tested it with this on the Chronograph, I was getting 303 feet per second on average. Then when I used this HPA 850 psi, I was only getting 214 feet per second. Now, one other thing to note, that 303 was around 80-degree weather, so it was pretty warm. So anyway, today I already chronied this with this 2x12 gram adapter. And oh, you might say, well, where did you get it? Well, what I did was, I was on Pyramid Air's Remind Me When You Get It In. And I got a note at like 10:30 one night, and by 11 o'clock I had it on order. So, did I need it? No, it was just kind of nice to have. And like I said, I think today what I ended up getting was 286 feet per second. But it's 60 degrees, so I'm sure it would be more if it was warmer. But it worked, it was fine. It tended to come loose for some reason. I had it tightened in there pretty good, but after like 3 shots, I'd get this little hiss and I'd have to quick screw it in again. So, not sure what's up with that, but no biggie. But that's how I got this. So, do I recommend it? I don't know. If you want something to get you, 6, 8 shots, something like that in a pinch, so you don't have to use up your whole, 30-shot tank. But yeah, the purpose for today's video was to say that I had actually upgraded, like I promised everyone I would do a new video, because I wanted to see if 1100 psi regulated HPA would get me closer to that 300 feet per second or 305, whatever it's. Anyway, you can check out the specs. But this came way short, the 850 psi bottle. Now, I still will find other uses for it, but unfortunately, for this Air Javelin, unless I just want to just plink away at slow speeds, I probably wouldn't use it. Something else that I had found, I think I had some ugly orange strap that was one of these neat things at Northern Equipment called Rapids, and I don't remember exactly if this is a 12 or a 16th. I got 2 different sizes, but that looks a whole lot better on that bottle, holding that in place. It looks a heck of a lot better than that orange one that you saw that I had on there before. So And the bottle is kind of on here crooked, but that's because there's a hump between the M-lock rail and where it thins out to the top of the receiver. And this bottle is a little bit longer than the 850 regulated one. And in order to get that past that hump so it sits flat, it would be over my safety, and I didn't want to deal with that. So it's on there good and tight. It's not going anywhere. Yeah, it's great. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I don't care if it's crooked. This would only be if I'm going to use this in the winter or colder temperatures like today or less. So yeah, those are the great big changes that I upgraded the bottle. I got a new strap. I'm using the same contraption here, the same quiver that I'd shown last time. My same cheek rest. I ended up rubber coating that, and that's working out real good I like that. And I think without further ado, and wasting a lot of time here, if you want to see how it worked out the first time, like I said, see the link below and look at my first video, but I'm just going to get right to Chrony and accuracy testing with the 1100 PSI. Okay, so I'm at my same usual 30 feet here. It's probably closer to 28 because I've kind of scrunched up everything a little bit. So it's not quite 10 yards or 30 feet, but I'm really just trying to test this for chroning and basic accuracy. So let's see what we get on the Chrony. Okay, safety off. Oh, and I got another camera downrange on the target, so we'll see how that picks up what I'm doing here. 296. Well, that's in range with what I was checking earlier today, so I've got, well, with all this stuff, it ain't easy to set this bad boy down. So 296. All right, let's try another one, see what we get. Safety. Yeah, I'm going to shoot this one down below it because I don't want to Robin Hood these. And I'm just going to try a couple more. 295. Wow, that is like super consistent. So I've done 294. Off camera, I did it just to make sure everything would work. I've basically, when I started earlier today, before I turned the camera, I got 294 and 299. Then just recently I got 296 and 295. And wow, so what does that turn out to be? Something like 290, 297 probably. So, okay, so what do we get? 294. So I am going to grab my bipod that I love, so much easier. And so I shot it 5 times and I'm still in the mid 290s. So, alright, that one there, I don't know what happened. This was on purpose, but it looks like it's shooting a little bit to the left because I am putting it right on the bullseye. So, I don't know if that extra HPA pressure is doing that, but that was a doozy. So, alright, so I took down the chronograph and cleaned up my mess a little bit here. So I am going to just take a few more shots with the setup I've got here with the HPA bottle. The other nice thing is I can actually still see the gauge here when I'm looking down at it from this angle. Without further ado, I think I'll start loading up and shooting some more. I'm going to try this with my bipod now too, as you can see, so that's kind of handy to have that right on the front there. And I got my camera on downrange, so we'll see if it picks up anything. Good. Okay, shot number 1. Safety on. So yeah, this is a real nice setup. I mean, it's not the most, attractive with this big old bottle goobering all over, but I mean, it's nice to have HPA, 1100 PSI regulated. Seems to be working pretty good, so I'm happy. I wasn't unhappy last time, but I was kind of like hoping that this would be the outcome. Upper right. And one more. Off. Let's try for the upper left. Okay, that trigger messed me up. It was kind of weird. It like I was squeezing it with all I had, and then it went off when I let off. Kind of strange. I'm gonna go get that one. Okay, so I'm gonna shoot 3 more and then we'll call her quits. But I guess to recap, when I first got this and I was shooting it with the 88 gram, actually older CO2, and it was like in 80-degree weather, I was getting 303 feet per second on average. Then I moved up to converting it to that 850 PSI regulated HPA and could only squeeze out 214 feet per second. Then all of a sudden, today I had tried out that Umarex 2x12 CO2 adapter where it holds 2 12 grammers, and I was getting, looks like 286 feet per second average, but again, you only get so many shots, so it's only 60, so I'm gonna say that's probably close, but it's probably still a little bit light. And then finally this setup, the Air Venturi 3000 PSI, 1100 PSI regulated, and I am getting, I'll have to put it on there, but it's somewhere around 296, 297 feet per second. That's pretty good. So, I think last time, obviously I was still happy with the Air Javelin, but I wasn't thrilled about the performance with the HPA, but wow, today it's a completely different story. So, yeah, I'm screwing up with the safety. Always make sure you put safety in. I'll show you this next time. Okay, upper left. Okay, safety on. And the last and final arrow, I'll do in the upper right. Did I say upper left last time? Anyway, okay. All right, and that trigger messed me up. It was kind of weird. It like I was squeezing it with all I had, and it went off when I let off. Okay, she looks like she's shooting left. Okay, so I'm going to shoot 3 more and then we'll call her quits. So that's nice. I'm happy with that. So let us grab our other camera here. Okay, so in closing out and getting off this video, bored you guys probably enough, I'm really happy with the performance of this Air Venturi HPA 1100 regulated, 1100 PSI regulated tank. It's really nice. It works as you saw. I got the close to 300 feet per second out of it with HPA, which is just a smidge under what I got with it on a hot day with the 88 gram. I'm still glad I got the CO2 adapter. Here's how it holds the 212 grams. I don't know that I'd want to wander around the hunting fields with that in there because, again, it's only good for maybe, 6, 8, 9 shots, something like that, depending on the heat. And again, I still was well under 300 at around 286 feet per second average. This was my original experiment with my setup here, and this is the 850 PSI regulated, and the best I could squeeze out of there was about 214 feet per second. So again, it's not, junk, but it certainly ain't real powerful. And so that's about it. I'm really happy. I'm still really happy with it. If you're on the fence about it, get it. You can do what you want. There's many different ways to convert it. There's a guy named Kid Pellet. His YouTube handle name is Kid Pellet, and he goes really in depth. He tears these things down, and my goodness, he shows you how you can increase the velocity back here, changing hammer springs and all this sort of thing. So he's really into this, and as many times as he's took it apart, put it back together and messed with the parts inside, and it works great every time. So even though this is all plastic, it seems like it could be junky, but I think it's a lot more robust and sturdy than it looks. I mean, I wouldn't throw it off a cliff, but you know, I think if you take good care of it, it should last a good while. So as always, hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching. Take care.